And Corneille, Emirates run 2 daily flights out of Dublin through their hub in Dubai and onward connections all the way to Australia and beyond, isn't it? It's Auckland as well, yeah. So, and with Chris represents Thailand, which now attracts more long-haul customers than Australia, which used to be the leader. But you've actually passed out Australia from what I can gather, although the figures aren't going to be final for a while in the last few weeks. And I'm going to tease out a couple of things here. What do we expect next? What exciting things are happening and what has been happening over the last year? And Emirates, 2 daily flights. What patterns have you been seeing? Where when people get on those aircraft in Dublin, they're not really going to Dubai, although quite a proportion of them are at this stage. Where do they go? They get off in Dubai, and where do they scatter to? What are the major connections you're seeing? What are the patterns you're seeing?
Well, about 80% of our customers connect beyond Dubai, so 20% will stay in Dubai.
20% Dubai.
The big popular destinations are Thailand, both into Bangkok and to Phuket. So Emirates run 7 daily flights from Dubai to Bangkok, 6 of which are A380s, 615 seaters, so huge capacity, and Phuket as well. Australia features very highly.
In association with the Dublin Airport. This is located at the back of the hall, and again, everybody is welcome to attend.
Okay, onward connections, yes.
But Australia features very, very highly, and then newer destinations for the Irish market, which have become very popular, is Vietnam.
Oh wow!
So Hanoi is a new destination
and
since
you do
last
both
August.
Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh.
Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh. The Hanoi operation is linked with Yangon, which used to be called Rangoon in Burma.
Yes.
Myanmar, I should say. So that is now a new destination we've seen a lot of interest in. Also, the Philippines has become very, very popular. We launched Cebu, which is a beautiful part of the world. So I suppose the Irish customer is quite traditional.
It's an alternative gateway to the Philippines.
Absolutely. But the Irish consumer is, on the one hand, quite traditional in terms of Australia, but is willing to look beyond that. And we're seeing pick up in these new destinations. But Bangkok, Phuket, very, very big.
And is that the key to it, Chris? Access?
Yes, I mean, we've been very blessed, really, with the amount of flight capacity that's come our way, and Emirates definitely led the charge. I mean, the amount of capacity going into Bangkok is huge. I think one thing I've always loved about the Irish market is that you're far more adventurous than the Brits like me over the other side of the Irish Sea. You tend to visit a lot more places.
As you can gather, Chris is not from Thailand, but
yes, as you can tell, I'm far too tall and far too fat to be Thai. But I've been there 83 times, so I know a little bit about it. But you know, I think the adventurous side of the Irish really has always been a massive factor. And what we're seeing now is that, particularly with and our Emirates are taking us into Phuket as well as Bangkok, that people are seeing a lot more of Thailand than they've ever seen before. So really exploring a lot more areas than just the traditional Bangkok and beach.
So where did we go traditionally, Chris?
Well, it always started in Bangkok. The holiday would always start in Bangkok, and then you'd go down to the beach or you'd go up to the north of Thailand. But actually, what I've told so many people on my stand in the last couple of days here, is that actually if you're going to Thailand, the best time to do Bangkok is at the end of your holiday, not at the beginning. And I think this is true.
Why is that?
Well, basically, if it's your first time to the Far East and the first time to Thailand, when you get off that plane, it's like one of my friends, my journalist friends actually, described it as an assault on all your senses. Because there's the heat, the sounds, the smells, it's quite overpowering. And to be put in the middle of a big city on your first night can be what we call Marmite. You'll either love it or not. However, if you do Bangkok at the end of your holiday, when you've acclimatized to the weather and got used to the sort of Thai way of life, then it's an absolutely fantastic experience. So what we're finding now is people are doing Bangkok at the end of their holiday because now they can fly with Emirates into Phuket first. So you go, and the first time you go straight to the beach, you're relaxed, you chill out, you get used to the weather, you can go up to the north and see the fantastic foot of the Himalayas, but then you finish up in Bangkok for your shopping, because there's a lot of shopping there, and sightseeing as well, fantastic sightseeing.
And there was a problem in getting onward connectivity to Australia in particular. The Dublin-Dubai leg, which seems to be very full anyway, but there was all sorts of problems getting onto your destination of choice. You've put extra capacity on Australia as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, we've deployed the A380 aircraft is our most formidable tool. We've now 90 of them in operation.
90?
90. With another 50 coming in the next 3 years. So we're by far the largest operator, the only really operator of the aircraft. A lot of that capacity has gone on to Sydney, onto Melbourne, onto Perth. And not only have we got direct services...
You have Adelaide and Brisbane as well, have you?
And Brisbane as well,
yeah.
and Adelaide.
Yeah.
But not only...
They're the 4 A380s.
That's right. But I think our tie-up with Qantas then gives us 32 internal points on top of that. So I suppose we really want to own Australia, and what's interesting and great for us in Ireland is that Ireland is the 4th largest destination and origin for Australian traffic in the Emirates network. So if I talk to my opposite number in Sydney, Ireland is number 4. So we always feature
6.4 million people, and we're 4th biggest.
I think it was all the people that settled there or were settled there 100 years ago.
Now, say you're the biggest customer for the A380, and this is your annual question. You've deferred or cancelled 12 of those, haven't you? Are they coming on a little bit faster than you have routes to serve them? You know?
No, I mean they're coming along. There were some conversations about engines, but the delivery program is moving along. We'll have by end of December 2018, a further 40 will join the fleet.
By 2018. So it's inevitable. The answer to my question, when is the A380 coming to Dublin? It's going to have to come.
Well, the earliest it can come is summer 18. Okay. And the reason for that is that there's a lot of work going on, necessary work going on at the airport in Dublin for all sorts of reasons.
Runway and pier.
Absolutely. So, I mean, it's something that we're working towards. It'd be obviously hugely exciting to be able to operate a 380 into Dublin, for our customers to be able to have a 380 experience to Dubai and then a 380 experience on to Bangkok. Sydney. Gives you consistency of product, both for the leisure customer and the business customer. But we just have to see.
Prague has an A380. You know, Barcelona. So what are we doing wrong? You know,
I think the Emirates are operating into Ireland for 5 years this month.
Right.
So we've gone from a single daily flight, 237 seats, to a double daily Boeing 777. One of which is
it's a 777 and a 330, is it?
No, it's two 777s. One of which is 428 seats. One is 360.
Okay.
So
it's
a lot
beautiful
of
aircraft, by the way. The 777, it really is. Even though we're not getting the A380, we're doing the. And when the A380 comes, it's going to get to the end of the 400 gates. Is that the only place that can take it?
At the moment, yeah.
Great. Okay. Thank you. And Chris, what is the difference between being able to fly directly into Phuket, and if I can mention Enda's rivals, Qatar can bring you into Krabi, I think, as well. So is it a big difference not having to go to Bangkok and take an internal flight within Thailand?
Well, yeah, I think a lot of people have said, for me, it's best to do the Bangkok experience at the end of the holiday. So the ability to go into Phuket with Emirates, I think, is an excellent thing.
You'd still bring people to Bangkok?
I still think Bangkok should be at the end of your holiday.
Okay.
Definitely.
And have people got scared of Bangkok over the last 2 years with a coup and the death of the king, and has that changed anything?
No, I mean,
the numbers suggest otherwise, so it's a rhetorical question. Yeah?
67,000 people from Ireland last year. In the size of population is amazing. The truth is that we've got a military government in Thailand, but as much as we would often believe that democracy is always the best way, sometimes countries are happier with different systems. And I can tell you from the bottom of my heart, Thailand hasn't been happier than for many years under their present government.
And what about partying and staying up all night and doing what people used to do in Thailand? The king is dead, and there will be a year of mourning.
I can tell you what, the Irish have got quite a reputation in Thailand, actually, that when we get groups of Irish coming...
Good or bad?
A very good reputation.
Gotcha.
You'll get a hotel, ring in the next hotel where the Irish group's going to say they have to stock up to make sure they don't run out of all the alcohol. So, yes, partying is still very, very alive and well in Thailand.
How are we for questions? Anybody tease out a question? Yeah, we have one here in the second row.
How you doing? Very close. Hi. I've probably travelled on most of the airlines around the world to different places for the last 20 years, and the one thing the hardest part of the trip, the destination has been wonderful. The hardest part of the trip has been the flight. No space in the aircraft, and all of them are the same. And I'm just wondering, are the airlines even thinking about that at this point? Because when you're doing long haul flight, whether it's American Airlines, Aer Lingus, China Airlines, Etihad, it doesn't matter. You have no space on these long haul flights unless you want to go into business class. You know, you've no space in coach, but you're paying a pretty hefty price even there.
It's a very big question.
And I'm just wondering, are the airlines even thinking? Because, you know, it's stopped me traveling a great deal now. I kind of travel just when I have to, because I can't face that sitting down. And as I used to say to my colleagues in work, if I was a chicken flying on an airline, I'd have more space by legislation, you know.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if the airlines are even thinking about that.
Okay,
when did you last fly?
the blue check.
Actually, I flew out to Arizona there back in September, just back in September, October.
I got to bring in. One of the things is that you will have different seat pitches for different aircraft. Isn't that really? You can end up flying with the same airline and end up with two separate seat pitches in economy.
Every aircraft, because of its shape, necessitates different seat pitches. But it's a very good question, and I'd answer it in this way. And I've worked for other carriers as well as Emirates, and there are two different types of carriers out there. There is the carrier that wants to squeeze as much onto that piece of metal as they possibly can, and to do that you have to sacrifice seat pitch. And there are other carriers that worry, and Emirates is one of them, that spend time worrying about the economy class product. 70% of our customers sit in the economy class product.
70%.
I flew back from Dubai 3 weeks ago in economy class to test it out. And I've travelled not as much as you have, but quite a bit. And I can tell you that the seat pitch, the space, is certainly greater. The size of the aircraft as well, the 777 and the 380, means that you have a much broader seat. So you not only have a better pitch, but it's actually broader. And the service is, you're not putting your hand in your pocket to buy alcohol or anything like that. You've got 2,500 channels of entertainment in a very wide screen in front of you. So and I can only speak for us now, is huge effort goes into that economy class product because 70% of the customers sit in it. There's just no point in trying to squeeze more out of that because people get frustrated, they get sore, and they won't come back to you. I think we get the return travel because people say, it might be 22 hours to Perth via Dubai, but you know what? It's a comfortable flight.
And is it 32 inches? What's your pitch in economy?
I think it's 34 and a half.
34 and a half. It's an acre of difference.
So 34 and a half versus a Ryanair 737 of 28.
Yeah.
That's where it is.
And there are people bringing people to Australia on 30, so it's
it's the pitch and it's the width of the seat.
I'm also impressed by your screen size, and you probably have the biggest screens in the business in economy, and in business as well.
And they're all in HD quality, so it makes for. I mean, gone are the days where everybody's looking up at the same movie.
That's true.
There are very few of those left, but sometimes they show up.
I would also say that one of the big trends we've seen, and particularly from the Irish market as well now, there are a lot more couples now taking their kids. There's a lot more families now going to the Far East. Now, that wouldn't have happened a few years ago, mainly because of the airline. Because the airlines a few years ago, because they didn't have this amazing, the ICE entertainment system is second to none. And because of the entertainment system, and because it's not just about the leg pitch, that's important, but it's also about the way that it's designed. And the seats these days tend to recline in a slightly different way. Rather than going straight back, they sort of dig in like a carriage, and it's a different experience, and the proof of the pudding is that families are going now a lot more, and that's down to the airlines, I think, really upping their game. And I would say that I've flown a lot myself, I travel a lot myself all around the world as well. I'd say going east is far superior to going west on an airline.
Families to Thailand, there's always a question about Thailand has a reputation. Places like Pattaya, Walking Street has a reputation. What do you say about people being a bit iffy about bringing families to?
I would say the whole of the Far East is great for families. In Thailand, there are resorts which are better than others, definitely. But if you take Pattaya, for example, Pattaya is actually two different sections of Pattaya. There's a northern Pattaya, which has got the most popular family hotel of any beach resort in Thailand. But then the southern Pattaya, yeah, I wouldn't be going to southern Pattaya if I was a family.
Okay.
But it's not just about Thailand. It's,
But you
know,
can go without seeing it, so it's pretty much
I would just
isolated.
say that the culture of the Far East, if you're somewhere like Malaysia as well, again, gone with kids to Malaysia, it's a fantastic place because they love family. You know, it's very, very important to the Far East culture about the family. So I think, and it's great value for money. This is the other thing, is that when you're comparing, say, a holiday to whether it be Thailand, Malaysia, to a holiday in Spain or Portugal, what I would question is, rather than just looking at how much it costs to get there and the hotel, you start adding up mum, dad and 2 kids eating out every night in Spain or Portugal and compare it to Thailand and Malaysia. I think you'll do a different arithmetic. We're excellent value for money.
Give me a sample price.
I can tell you that you can still get a bottle of beer for £1 in Bangkok. You certainly can.
Points at me as he says that. Yeah, that's
So
good.
it's more of a glass of red wine. That would be.
Okay,
But no, the beer's cheap. But you can still get a meal for between £5 a head. In terms of a basic meal,
£5 a head.
and you can have
€6 a head.
and you can have your foot massage for another £5. So that's not bad, is it?
Right.
Really? So value for money. And I think a lot of people forget this sometimes. It isn't just about how much we might pay for the holiday, but we tend to not think too much about how much we pay for the holiday, but how much do we spend when we're there. And actually, that is a very big factor. And when you're comparing us with, say, going to the Caribbean, where it's all-inclusive, some people miss that whole point of just how much value for money there is in the Far East.
So it's cheaper to go a la carte in Thailand than all-inclusive in the Caribbean?
Absolutely.
Without a question. A question here from... Did we have a question? I got a wave. Oh, yeah, we have a question.
Just a question. If you were travelling personally, where would be your go-to stops to spend your time and spend your money in the East?
Big question. Okay. So the first thing I'd say is that do bear in mind as well that I do think that if you've got a bit more time, that it does make sense to sometimes break the journey. Because I think Dubai makes a very easy stopover as well. So the great thing about the Middle East, and Dubai is the perfect example, is that it's halfway there. So you can actually break a 14-hour journey into 2 7s. So I would certainly recommend, a couple of nights in Dubai is a good way of breaking the journey for a lot of people, particularly some of our older customers who've probably got a little bit longer. They've got 3 weeks plus. And I said, well, why rush there? You can still take a couple of nights out in the Middle East. But when we're in the East, favourite places to go, well, I'll have to give you a Thailand version, I suppose, first. So in the Thailand, the north of Thailand is my favourite part. It's the foot of the Himalayas. It's where the hill tribes are, the elephant camps are. There's the most beautiful food up there. It's where I want to retire. In fact, if you ask anybody in Thailand who works in Thailand, the white guys like me, where do they want to retire? It's Chiang Mai. But my other favourite place in the Far East is Malaysian Borneo. So a place called Sabah. And there's a couple of hotels there. One called the Shangri-La Razaria is the most amazing experience you can get. All the activities, everything from the water activities, orangutan sanctuaries, beautiful beach, great jungle, great shopping experience. It's a perfect place to go.
The Thailand Tourism Authority are reviewing
Promoting
Chris's
Malaysia.
contract as we speak.
Yeah, well,
He's just sending them to another country. So.
why not?
Dubai has a reputation being expensive for the stopover, and is there a visa requirement? Could you get it on an electronic visa?
No, there's no visa issue whatsoever for Irish customers, and one of the things that Dubai is working hard on is to make it much more relevant and much more affordable for families. So huge developments this year, 2 huge theme parks, one of which IMG is completely enclosed, air conditioned. The second one, Dubai Resort Parks and Resorts, has got Legoland Dubai, all the Marvel, all the Smurfs for the kids. And by the end of the year, there'll be 100,000 hotel bedrooms in Dubai per night. A lot of those in the 3-star, 4-star. So the glitz and the glamour is still there, but a lot of work going on to make it much more affordable for families.
This is the city that built a ski slope in a fridge. So,
and the most recent one I heard on Thursday is a new development called the Hyperloop, or the Hydroloop. And this is going to be a train between Dubai and Abu Dhabi, which will travel at 1,250 miles per hour, and we'll do it in 10 minutes. And that's going to be ready by 2020. So that's the kind of innovation that we're talking about.
hotels, Chris, you've got five-star style hotels with huge bedrooms in Thailand, and they're going for what you would pay for a 2-star, 3-star in Europe. Is that basically how it works out, or is that changing?
No, I mean, what I would say to anybody is, again, across the Far East really, is if you think you're a 3-star customer, you can afford 4-star. If you think you're a 4-star customer, you can afford 5-star. If you think you're a 5-star customer, then you're going to save a lot of money.
Question here from the back. Oh, it isn't a question. Okay, I got a wave from the back. And when you have 3 operators as opposed to 2 operating on the Middle East, is 3 a crowd?
I suppose we'll have to see. I mean, on the one hand, it's very welcome that we have a new competitor in, because now...
This is Qatar, by the way, to anyone in the room who doesn't know. They're starting flights Dublin-Doha in June, and a lot of their connections, onward connections, are very similar to what's on offer from Enda, who's here, from Emirates, and Etihad, who also do connect through Abu Dhabi. So that's just to explain, and sorry for cutting across you.
Like, you're now going to have 3 different carriers highlighting these destinations, promoting destinations, and that's good for everyone. I think for ourselves, we've got a significant range of destinations. So it's 150 destinations. It's not just the Middle East. And I think this is where your brand kicks in, your product, the aircraft, the airport in Dubai. So we'd be very confident, we'll continue to perform very well. And we just have to see how it pans out.
And I should add Turkish, who fly through Istanbul, to that list as well, as a connecting onward to destination. Is there much of a difference between the destinations you offer and Qatar and Etihad and Turkish? Do you tend to end up in the same cities? Is that how it works?
I think it depends, really. I mean, Australia, I suppose, a lot of similarities. Qatar tend to fly to more outlying destinations than ourselves. Etihad, it's probably the same. But I suppose Emirates is 5 times the size of Etihad, and it's 3.5 times the size of Qatar. So the spread, the scale of destinations with Emirates and the frequency. So, we've 2 flights a day. Qatar will have 1, and it'll have different timings on different days. So it's maybe a trickier sell, whereas ours is much more comprehensive.
And your experience, that the market tends to grow rather than people fight over the sides of the
market will always grow with the new entrant, and then it'll settle.
Okay, it'll grow fast.
Because, as I said, you're going to have 3 carriers now promoting Thailand, promoting Australia, promoting all these places. So the level of interest in the market will go up, and it's really up to the best airline, the best brand, the best service to win the day with the best price.
You're trying to get the highest price. Everyone in the room is trying to get the lowest price. What's going to happen?
We're not trying to get the highest price, and that's one of the misconceptions about Emirates. Emirates is seen by some people as something that's up there and is inaccessible, and in fact it's not. We're selling Dubai at the moment for €400 all in. You cannot get to New York for that.
That's
Return. You're not putting your hand in your pocket when you get on board. We're selling business class to Dubai for about 2,000. You can't get to Chicago for less than 3,500. So, it's affordable, but it's a very quality product.
And is the price going to come down now with the third entrant?
I think the prices are they fluctuate a lot. We've probably never been cheaper than we are at the moment.
Never been cheaper.
But the market will decide that. The market will decide that.
You have a sale at the moment?
We're just out of a sale. And we're about to go into another one.
About to go into another one. Okay, you heard it here first. But how do you actually get the best price? Do you sign up for the email shot, or how do you actually...
Signing up for the email shots is how you're going to get the best, know when the sales are going to start. So our next sale will start on the 1st of February.
Okay.
And that's going to have fantastic prices.
Don't tell anyone, guys. Next Emirates sale is on the 1st of February.
To Bali, to Bangkok, to Australia, all these sort of places. So signing up on the website to the newsletter will get you all of those kind of things. But, I mean, we advertise all the time as well.
And do you go on Skyscanner, or do you go onto your website? How does it work?
We were on all channels.
But does the price vary between?
No, I mean, we would distribute through travel agents, through tour operators, to our own website.
It works out the same.
It works out the same.
Yeah. So go to the travel agent; they'll have the same.
I mean, a huge amount of our business comes to the travel trade, which we support very, very much. So, that would be your first stop.
And Chris, what do you see happening with the Irish access to Thailand? It's going to increase now with Qatar. That gives regional, provincial Thailand better access, doesn't it?
It's fantastic for us in Thailand. It's also fantastic for the region as a whole. We've seen the growth of Vietnam. We've seen the growth of Myanmar, or Burma as we used to call it, and Cambodia, and Laos as well. I think all the countries around us, we really love the idea that the whole Far East grows. It's not just about Thailand. For us, if the whole Far East region grows, then we're very happy. And what we see at the moment is that more and more customers can buy more and more destinations in the Far East as well. So look, we welcome the capacity, but we couldn't be happier really.
And how much can Ireland's Far East appetite for the Far East grow? And is it as long as a piece of string?
It's as long as a piece of string, because I mean, my responsibility is route profitability. So I'm as interested on the inbound as I am on the outbound.
Okay.
And
there are 230,000 Australians coming here every year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you go back 10 years ago, there was barely any. I think there was no carriers flying. And people said, why would ever a Middle Eastern carrier operate out of Dublin? And now look, 3. We've got 800 seats per day, and you've got 254 from Qatar, a few hundred from Etihad, so huge capacity.
The second destination, the second direct flight that Vincent Harrison of Dublin Airport Authority said he would like to see operating out of Dublin Airport was Bangkok. Do you think we've reached the stage where we can have a direct flight, Chris? Oslo has a direct flight daily, so...
Sure. I mean, I think it's a case of whether we need it or not. I think in some ways we are very, very well serviced from our Middle East friends.
So the one-stop options are enough.
And I think you have to be realistic, is that the issue about traffic you see on airlines is that if you're just flying direct from Ireland to Thailand, you've got to generate enough traffic from Thailand back to Ireland, and that's going to be the challenge. Whereas in the Middle East, obviously you've got the hub and the way, so that's the big difference between the two.
Governments and airports can get seduced by the idea of direct flights, but at the end of the day, if the airline can't fill them on a wet Tuesday in January, well as a sunny Saturday in July, it's not going to last.
Yeah, unlike the Australians coming to Ireland, you won't have a huge critical mass of Thais coming to Ireland. Although there'll be some. And they love you.
And this is it. The key is frequency, to double daily to Dubai and 8 onwards. So anything goes wrong, a bit of frost or fog or something,
you've got follow on.
There's something to sort it out. Questions from the audience? Everybody happy? Really, really great. Large thank you to my 2 guests here this afternoon. And thank you very much, guys. And keep traveling. Keep traveling to the Far East. It's great.